All right, controlling the movement. We're gonna go 30 seconds on each side, making sure that my posterior is pulling me down to the bottom of that squat. I'm exhaling as I come up. Never want those knees to come in. So the whole time we feel like we're pulling the ground apart. Next 30 seconds, you'll see the hips are going back first. Ideally, we want to get to the hip below the knee if we can. If we don't have that range of motion, perfectly okay. And remember, you could do this without the kettlebell. A few more seconds. Nice. Now we're going into our core work. We're going to hit an L sit. We're going to try to stay as tall as we can, pressing to the ground. Feet are going to come up. Really simple looking, but a super challenging movement. I'm already starting to breathe, and it helps if you can press those toes together. Remember, try not to lean back. That makes the movement a lot easier. And we may not hold the whole minute. And so I'm shooting for 30 seconds right here. I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna give myself about a 10-second rest. And then I'm gonna try and hit another 15 seconds here. Go at your own pace, here we go. Make sure you're breathing. If you need to bend your knees, we can bend our knees here. Very nice. Transition into our next movement. Grab your kettlebell. We're going to hold in front. So we're going to do a curtsy lunge. Back around. And then up. So instead of stepping straight back, it's back and over. And then up. What we're going to do when we come up, we're going to halo. All the way around. Down. And up. Halo. Back down. And up. Halo. Good, y'all. This is just varying our movement planes, getting us moving laterally instead of doing everything forward and backwards. It's easy to fall into that trap where we just go up and down and forward and backwards with everything we do. And we want to make sure we're balancing our body. All right, getting ready for the next minute. We're just going to go into a basic plank, which is going to be the top of your push-up. Here we go. Make sure you're breathing. Side view. You'll notice I'm stacked here. If you need to adjust this movement, just come down to your knees. Make sure we're not drooping the hips. Make sure we're not poking the butt up high. We got 30 seconds left. Let's see if we can hold the whole minute here. Find an option that's going to allow you to get a lot of volume in on this one. Good, keep breathing. A little tension in your belly, we're almost there. Good, minute is up. Next movement is going to be a Cossack squat with a press. So we're still in this front rack position. Move the stool. So we're going to step to the side, stand up, and press. We're going to go the first 30 seconds on this side. You'll see the hips are still going back first when I step. Right back up. I'm still staying through my heel. Switching sides. Oh yeah, feeling it in my shoulders now. Up Another rep. Transitioning to a side plank next. We're going to try to stay locked out. We're still going to be stacked right in here. If you need to make this easier, you can spread your feet. We could also go down to our knees. So find an option that works for you. We're going 30 seconds on each side. Make sure the hips aren't drooping. And breathe. Switching sides. Definitely feel it in my shoulders. Core starting to light up as well. Good. We got to fight to keep those hips up. They're going to want to drop down, but you got to fight for it. Good work, y'all. We're almost there. Just one more kettlebell movement coming up. One more core movement. Very nice. All right. This one's going to be a fun one. Overhead lunge. Static hold. Keep pressing. Keep the elbow locked. And lunge. Just going to alternate the legs. And then in 30 seconds, we'll switch arms. Keep that kettlebell stacked right on top. One more rep. Switching arms. Oh yeah, I feel it. Keep breathing. This is really engaging the core, shoulders, legs. Getting a lot out of this one, a lot of bang for your buck. We're almost there. One more rep. Boom. 7 minutes. We went through a lot of movement planes. We loaded up those movement planes. Keep your feet moving right here while we're cooling down. So the next few minutes, we're going to gradually bring that heart rate down. And we're going to stretch out your joints. And we're going to work on loading those joints up too. Remember, just loose, passive stretching is only one piece of the equation. We have to be able to actively control, and we also want to load our ranges of motion and really focus on our breathing here on this next piece.
Hi everyone, great job with your hustle. It's time to flow. Let's start slowing our breathing down. And we're going to just work on our wrist mobility a little bit since we did that front rack squat position just a moment ago. So as you're just starting to slow your breathing down, you can sit in whatever comfortable position feels good. I'm sitting on my heels. You could also do this just sitting with the feet out to the side or cross-legged. But let's bring the forearms together and open the hands up and find your active wrist extension here, which is the position that we were in that front rack. And just trying to squeeze the hands actively, the back of the hands toward the forearms. And then now bring the hands together and slide your hands down without letting the base of the wrist come apart. So keep the palms pressing together, keep the base of the wrist pressing together, getting a stretch there. And then again, let's bring the forearms together, open up, squeezing, actively working that wrist extension. And then hands together, slide down, going into more of a passive stretch here for the wrist. And one more time, bring them together, open up, and back in, slide down. Good. Just go ahead and shake out the wrist a little bit there. We're going to do some wrist cars, which is just our controlled circles moving through our wrist. Traditionally, when we tend to circle our wrist, we move our forearms and everything with it. So we're going to try to isolate so that we're really isolating for just our wrist. So bring your elbows in by your side with your arms bent, forearms parallel with the floor. Make a little fist here. You're going to try to keep the base of your wrist here pointed straight up to the ceiling, so not letting it rotate in or rotate out. And then just start with pulling the back of the hands toward the forearms. So again, going into that wrist extension. And then without rotating the wrist, and this is kind of tricky, take the hands over to the right and then bend and pull the wrist in, and then over to the left, and then extend. Keep going like that, and you really have to keep an eye on your forearms to make sure they're not rotating. And it feels really kind of weird, a little different than what we might normally do when we circle our wrist. And this is actually going to improve our wrist mobility even more. And as you can see, I'm going a little faster because I've done this many times. You might want to go a little slower in the beginning. And let's do 3 more. Each time we're thinking about trying to make our circle bigger. Good, and then reverse, go the other way. Again, I'm keeping an eye on trying to make sure I'm not rotating in the forearm at all. Going in, making my circle big each time, hitting each of those positions. 2 more. All right, and shake it out. Nice. Let's come to all fours now, hands and knees. We're going to do some cat and cow since we just did all that core work to just stretch out the belly a little bit. So wrist under your shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Let's inhale, drop the belly, lift the chest, look up. Exhale, curl around the spine, push the floor away. Keep it going here. Inhale, belly drops, chest lifts. Exhale, round. Inhale, belly drops. When you're here, you can almost try to think about dragging your hands back towards your knees to get a little bit more of a stretch. Exhale and round. Now just keep moving through cat and cow, but maybe explore moving your hands in different positions. So maybe turning the fingers out away from each other. Maybe bringing the fingers to rotate in to point toward the knees. That might feel a little different. We don't move our hands this way. Maybe even try coming to the back of your hands, one hand at a time. One more round of cat and cow. And then come back to the center. From here, let's take our knees a little wide and bring the big toes together in the back. Sit the hips back for child's pose. Walk the hands forward. You can actively press your hands into the mat. Let your head drop. Or feel free to do whatever else feels good on the shoulders. If you like to let the elbows widen, stack the hands. Some deep breaths here. Again, we're slowing the breathing down, in and out through the nose. Let's walk our hands over to the right. Your hands might come off your mat. Let's actually bend our right hand. And you're going to really push into the floor with the right hand, like you're trying to rotate your chest more to the right. Drive down through that left hand, reach out. Imagine your arm starts at your shoulder blade. So you're reaching way back, initiating from the shoulder blade, and then letting your head drop. So big stretch down your side and through your lats. Full deep breath. One more inhale and exhale. Come up, over to the other side. Again, walk the hands off the mat to the left, bend the left hand, pull like you're trying to rotate yourself more to the left, reach out through that right arm, and then head drops. And breathe. Deep inhales and exhales. Again, big stretch to the right side of your body. One more breath. And then all the way back to the center. Let's stay in our child's pose now. We're gonna work our wrist a little bit more. Try to lift the palms up and the fingers up without letting the elbows bend, and then back down. And keep that going, just like you were trying to tap the floor, lifting up and then tapping the floor. Squeezing the back of the hands toward the forearms. Now keep doing this little tap, but now start to shift your weight forward. As you shift forward, the elbows are probably going to want to bend. Try to keep them straight. And again, we're working our active wrist extension. And again, shift forward maybe a little bit more. It's going to start to get more challenging. If you get to a point where nothing's really happening, like the hands aren't lifting, the fingers aren't lifting, then just back up. Otherwise, keep shifting forward until your shoulders stack up over your wrist. And when you do that, it can get really challenging to lift those fingers, lift the palms. Let's do 3, 2, 1. Good. And let's slide our knees back and just slowly lower to our belly. Wiggle back a little bit, and we're going to do a quad stretch. So bring your left forearm in front of you. Bend your right leg, really squeeze your heel towards your butt so you're activating in the hamstrings. And then from there, reach back and grab your foot. If you can't get your foot here, you can either use a strap or you can just work the hamstrings to bring the leg in. If you've got your foot here and it feels okay, you could let your head come down to rest on your forearm. Take some deep breaths, just enjoying a nice quad stretch. We're going to hold right here for a little bit. If you want to try to feel a deeper stretch, you can think about squeezing your right glute and trying to lift your right knee off the floor. So you're trying to almost lift your thigh up relative to your pelvis. Slow, deep breaths, about 20 more seconds here. Now, before we go ahead and let it go, try to squeeze and engage your hamstrings. And then let go of your foot and see if you can keep it there. So if your foot flings away, that's a good thing to know. We want to try to close the gap between our passive range, where we can just simply pull, and what we can actively control using our muscles. So really squeeze, and you might get a good old hamstring cramp. And then stretch it out, give it a little shake. Before we do the other side, we're going to do cobra. So bring the hands beside the chest, roll the shoulders back, and let's lift up and get a stretch through the front side of the body. Stretch through your belly. And if this feels too much in your low back, just take it down a little lower, that's fine. And then exhale and lower down. Other side, bring the right forearm in front of you, bend the left leg again, actively work squeezing heel towards your bum, and then reach back, grab a hold of the foot, draw it in. And again, if you can't get your foot, then either just work the active, or you can use a strap or a towel, something to grab it. And then dropping the head if that feels good. And hold and breathe. And make sure we're taking nice deep breaths, breathing in and out through the nose. Make sure we're not tensing at all in our face, or relax at the jaw. Again, if you want deeper stretch, squeeze that left glute and try to lift your knee and your thigh up off the floor.
Another breath. Now start to squeeze the hamstring. Contract and then let it go, but try to keep that heel in. Squeeze. 3, 2, 1, and stretch it out and shake it out. All right, one more time with our cobra. Let's bring our hands by our chest, roll the shoulders back, lift. And getting that stretch through the belly. And then all the way down. Let's push up and into child's pose. Stretch back. Just acknowledge all the hard work that you've done. And then when you're ready, go ahead and walk the hands in and come up.
All right, that completes your hustle and flow for today. Great job, and we'll see you next time. Namaste.